Onassis AiR is an international artistic research and residency program established by the Onassis Foundation in 2019. Located in the center of Athens, the program grounds its mission in supporting artistic process towards a less project-obsessed arts ecosystem. Like any living organism that continually grows based on the information that it receives from its surrounding environment, Onassis AiR transforms and adapts its programs according to the needs and input of each group of participants. Over the past 2 years, we have experienced different ways of cohabitation in the house that now belongs to more than 100 artists, curators, collectives, educators, social scientists, and other practitioners who have been part of our ever-growing community of peers.
No, it's gonna be crazy shit. Every time I'm like, oh god, but we can if you want. Just a few environments. You can be inspired by what.
In the first weeks of each group, when we all meet at the Onassis AiR house, the participants in the Onassis AiR team curate a day, organized as they see fit, and can take the group to any place or through any experience that relates to their practice, interests, or methodology.
Introduce some parts of it using different methodologies that come.
Really, it's
Is this a blurry photograph, or is it a sharp image of a blurry thing? Is it an image or a frame that using the phone? There's so much inability that the frame has words they want to propose.
Visiting mineral springs of Greece. I want to make some kind of a website.
Over the past 2 years, we have been in caves, hills, coasts. We have danced for old lovers and been to one-on-one bedroom performances. We have walked the narrow streets of Anafiotika, talked about the efforts of displacement of the islanders of Anafi, and listened to Audre Lorde on Lycabettus Hill. We have explored the little shops around Platia Victorias and walked in Z formations throughout the city. There is then always a question that comes forward.
We have the first part of the workshop, which is called Why Do We Work Together? Why?
for me, it has to do with no hierarchy, while at the same time taking responsibility for yourself, but taking the responsibility seriously for yourself.
And I think, in my experience, there is something about what you say, taking responsibility for yourself, but I was thinking more about when everybody takes responsibility, but in a way that creates also a situation of sharing power and leadership.
So for me, that's a collaborative, space in which you create a space together, but also occupying space or protesting Nazis, or I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe it's just like showing up. That's
Showing up.
I want to ask you to think of what you expect from each other, from this collaboration, or a need that you might have, and we're gonna note it down. Super, yeah. Expulsion technique.
What was that? Expulsion technique.
Explosion.
To expel.
Like Stockholm.
just to say that this is truly an experiment for us, and I think also this is an invitation to you guys to see it as an experiment of trying to find out something together.
So basically this is a starting point to do another kind of narration of what we all share, which is the collective experience of the curated day, through your object and through the words that might resonate with you from this list.
I carry this pouch of stones and crystals around with me everywhere I go. And I use them, I'm sort of building rituals and ways of, like, forms of self-study. And so I kind of put them out and I'm sort of trying to invent some kind of game with them.
And also it's very imaginative because this looks like maybe her and maybe me 2 years ago.
And this one is very early in the beginning when everything was almost everything was handmade. This is a second step, this is a third step. And every time it had to do with collaboration with other people's suggestions that they would make. And this, you can see on the fan how it evolves year by year. And it's also, for me, collaboration is like before collective work, collaboration is like the first exercise where at least two minds, can take their minds out of themselves, and you can see the result on an object.
On the relation and see how things connect.
Vulnerability, bringing closer, ownership, collective feminist queer liberation, belonging.
I really like also when we said, belonging, but not in a belonging way, but in a camouflage way. I really like this sort of different approach to that. So defining it collectively with what I have in mind of belonging and what other people have in mind of belonging. I think that's very interesting to know.
Because when Christina said lack of joy, I have noted down joy to participate into something that you believe in. So I went through this process while this was happening.
Let's think of conflicts as like really active things. Like right now we need to make a decision. Your values or the way that you're thinking are so out of place that I'm not really being able to work with you. We don't have to have even a single word about it. But when you're working in a group, you know some of the people that are just a little bit, if that feeling exists, it's there. Yes, touch the cards. And then, there's a lockdown and then you realize there's no freedom.
Things are not being said that need to be said. Sharing the knowledge.
I think form.
We're trying to build a table together, and all those beautiful people trying to figure out how to build the table best. Only rule is no four-legged structures, and for the rest you can use everything you find inside and outside the company.
During this time, often forced into a hermetic way of being, we asked ourselves, how can we co-imagine different realities by rehearsing ways of being and practicing together otherwise? Following the thoughts of Stuart Hall, we started by digging into the notion of identity. We explored the concept of an infinite potentiality of being and knowing, introduced to us through the writings of Wilson Harris, who became our starting point and silent guide throughout this process. We looked into the role of archaeology and myth in the ideological construction of national imagination. We launched weekly reading groups on the notions of power and resistance, and on the ways of voicing the unheard. What does refusal mean? Who can perform it, and how? We did relay interviews to address solidarity and care.
I used to be limitless, but now I put some limits.
How do we perceive solidarity?
Addressing
Who can perform it? How do we care? Can care only be given from a position of privilege?
Like what togetherness can do.
And then also deals out a series of penances. So you have this knowledge of coercive power,
and we then delved into the collective discussion on knowledge power to eventually ask, what is knowledge? How do we exercise and exchange it? Who creates the conditions and possibilities of exchange? From the human to the more than human world, we started looking into how everything equally evolves. Through its mineral, material, relational, and metamorphic qualities, water became our medium and methodology.
Like, one example, please. Like, how did you run this? We used it to feedback on
We followed the readings of Astrida Neymanis and turned into bodies of water to explore how we relate to the world that surrounds us. But how can we create new worldings if we continue to use the same wordings? In order to do so, we used language as a vehicle to speak differently and to listen to each other deeply, waiting for a collective shapeshift. And the question remains, from city walks and one-day research trips, to longer trips around Greece and all the way to Indonesia, we kept asking, how does the personal become collective?
These ones aren't very efficient because I didn't have any glass.
We have travelled many kilometres trying to find answers to these and other questions. No matter what we are busy with, our days at Onassis AiR are never the same. From turning the space upside down as a cleansing ritual and sharing our most valuable memories. Our daily gifts and our collective tarot readings, we devised our own everyday rituals to experience time together.
You're mostly trying to do it with your voice, okay. But use just at the same time, use your body to kind of keep it limber and explore different levels in the room. Okay.
Food is an integral part of Onassis AiR, and our kitchen has been a reference and meeting point where all the interesting conversations and meeting one another takes place. Whatever we do, sharing a meal every day with the people who are in the house brings us back together. For our second year, we created a new research focus for chefs who, together with the participants of the program, have been exploring research themes through the lens of food production, sustainability, upcycling, and local agriculture.
In a warm environment, this will, for example, if it's really close tight.
They have created recipes inspired by the individual and collective research, and have designed workshops on fermentation, waste management, preservation techniques, foraging and seasonality, both at the Onassis AiR space and other sites. When a need presents itself from one of the participants, we open our doors to the local communities, audience, and people who want to meet all of us and the research that happens inside and outside the house. Onassis AiR is a space of connecting. Our doors officially opened in September 2019, and our first event was called Great Expectations, but no one expected what would happen afterwards. Since then, we have done a series of open-air screenings on our terrace. artist presentations, talks and karaoke parties, but also events outside of the space with other partner institutions, spaces and colleagues.
Ναι. Time for change. It's 5 p.m. Η ώρα του παιδιού! Time to go! Είναι η ώρα σου! 12 και 39! Ώρα για τον Onassis!
Last thing I want to say is there an end, like a clear end to this performance?
Together, we have celebrated new projects, birthdays and beginnings, ends of different eras, successes and failures, weddings, reunions and goodbyes. We believe that the question of what do you need must be asked over time and again, to the growing community of practitioners that Onassis AiR supports and will continue to support. Since the beginning of Onassis AiR, we have worked on shifting the way an institution engages with those who use it. We have tried to practice a different culture of being and working that is not based on the binary of offering and accepting an offer, but instead creating a program and space for artists and art workers to set their own conditions of work and practice. So far, we have practiced peer-to-peer and self-organized methodologies in different ways that hand over the decision-making to the past, current and future participants of Onassis AiR. The selection procedure, the decisions about resources, our collaborations with other institutions. Making Onassis AiR a space governed by those who use it is our mission and responsibility. This is a long journey, a journey that will hopefully lead us to a more sustainable, caring, fair and socially responsible art sector.